The tires screeched as the old Chevy peeled out of the gravel driveway, kicking up dust that stung my eyes. I was 16, clutching a worn denim backpack, standing on my grandfather's porch in the sticky heat of a Georgia summer. My parents, Travis and Evelyn Harper, didn't look back. Not a wave, not a word, just the fading rumble of the engine as their car vanished down the oak-lined road. I was Hannah Lee Carter, and that was the day my world broke open. The silence hit first, heavier than the August air. My grandfather, William Bill Carter, stood beside me, his calloused hand resting on my shoulder. He was still in his faded overalls, a straw hat tilted back on his head, his face etched with confusion. "What in God's name just happened?" he muttered, more to himself than to me. "They left," I said, my voice flat, like I was stating the weather. I didn't cry, not yet. My body hadn't caught up to the betrayal. Inside, the house smelled of cedar and pipe smoke, a comforting contrast to the chaos in my chest. Bill set a kettle on the stove, fumbling with the knob like he wasn't sure what to do next. "You hungry, kid?" he asked, trying to fill the void. I shook my head, my eyes glued to the window, waiting for headlights that never came. That night, I unpacked my bag in the guest room, expecting to find my treasures, my Polaroid camera, the leather journal I'd filled with sketches, the silver locket Mom gave me when I turned 10. Gone. In their place, a crumpled receipt from a pawnshop in Savannah. Camera, Polaroid, locket, silver, journal, leather. They'd sold my life for pocket change. I sat on the creaky bed, staring at the ceiling, letting the truth sink in like a slow poison. My parents hadn't just left me, they'd erased me. The morning sun filtered through the lace curtains, painting the kitchen in soft gold. Bill was at the stove, flipping pancakes that smelled like childhood weekends. "Eat up, Hannah," he said, sliding a plate toward me. "We'll figure this out." His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed worry. I poked at the food, my mind replaying the drive here. Yesterday, I'd been in the backseat, my knees tucked under my chin, a faded Nirvana t-shirt bunched up against my chest. Mom's hands were white-knuckled on the wheel, her jaw set. Dad tapped his fingers on the armrest, a nervous rhythm that matched my heartbeat. "Where are we going?" I'd asked, breaking the suffocating quiet. "To your grandpa's," Mom said, her tone too polished, like she'd rehearsed it. "Just for a bit." "For a bit?" I pressed, sensing the lie. "Like when you went to Vegas?" Dad let out a sharp breath. Not quite a laugh. "No, sweetheart. This is different." Different. That word landed like a slap. When we pulled into Bill's driveway, I froze, my fingers digging into the backpack strap. Mom didn't turn around. Dad leaned over, opened my door from the front, and muttered, "Go on, he's expecting you." But Bill wasn't expecting me. He stepped out, wiping dirt from his hands, his brow furrowed. "What's this about?" he asked, looking from me to the car. I stepped out, my sneakers crunching on the gravel. And before I could answer, the Chevy was gone. No brake lights, no hesitation, just dust. The days blurred into weeks. Grief wasn't a straight line, it was a storm, swirling and unpredictable. Sometimes it was the creak of Bill's rocking chair, empty in the living room. Sometimes it was the smell of his coffee, bitter and strong, that made my throat tighten. He tried to keep things normal, asking about school, my art, the summer fair I'd wanted to go to. I nodded along, but my heart was stuck in that driveway, waiting for a car that wasn't coming back. One evening, as I washed dishes, I found a photo tucked in a drawer, a faded Polaroid of me at 8. Grinning beside Mom at a county fair. Her smile was real then, not the plastic one she'd worn yesterday. I slipped it into my pocket, a reminder of what I'd lost. Bill caught me staring at it later. "They weren't always like this," he said softly, "but people change, Hannah, sometimes for the worse." I didn't answer. I didn't know how. 10 years later, Bill was gone. A heart attack, sudden and merciless, took him in his sleep. I was 26, standing in the same house. Now mine, sorting through his things. His will left me everything, the house, the land, and a $50 million estate built from his real estate empire. He'd also left me a silver key on a chain. A small, heavy thing he'd given me on my 18th birthday. "This is more than metal," he'd said. "It's trust." I thought I'd buried the past with him. I was wrong. The funeral was quiet, just how Bill would have wanted it. A few old friends, some former colleagues, sharing stories of his kindness, his stubborn grit. I sat in the front row, the silver key resting against my collarbone, my hands folded tight. Then the church door creaked open, and my blood turned to ice. Travis and Evelyn Harper walked in, dressed in black like they'd just stepped off a movie set. 10 years, no calls, no letters, no trace. Now here they were, acting like they belonged, like they hadn't left a 16-year-old girl on a porch and driven away. Dad nodded at me, expecting a smile. Mom's lips curved into a practiced grin as she whispered to an usher. "We're her parents." I couldn't move, my pulse pounded in my ears. They looked older, worn, but still carried that smug confidence. Like the world owed them something. They slid into the pew behind me, close enough that I could smell Mom's cheap rose perfume. When the service ended, people offered condolences, their voices a dull hum. Then she was there, Mom, reaching for my arm. "Hannah, my sweet girl," she cooed, her voice dripping with fake warmth. I yanked back. "Don't." Her face crumpled, but it was an act. "We came as soon as we heard," she said. "We're so sorry. Your grandfather meant everything to us." Dad jumped in, too loud, too bold. He was proud of you. "Hannah, you've grown up strong. You don't get to say that." I snapped, my voice cutting through the church's hush. "You weren't there." Mom stepped closer, holding out a folded paper. "I know you're hurt, but please. I've been sick. Cancer. Early stage." Her eyes glistened, but I didn't buy it. I took the paper, a medical letter, and stuffed it into my bag. Later, I'd run a reverse image search and find it was a fake. Downloaded from a template site. A lie, just like them. The next day, I was in Bill's study, sorting through his desk, when a knock came. It was Clara, Bill's lawyer, her gray hair pulled back, a leather folder under her arm. "He left something for you," she said, her voice low, "and a warning." I tilted my head. "What kind?" "Your parents," she said. "Bill knew they'd come back when he was gone. He planned for it." She handed me a sealed envelope and a typed memo. "The will readings in 3 days. You'll need this." She tapped the silver key around my neck. "And that." I stared at the key. Its weight suddenly heavier. What did he leave me? Clara's smile was tight. "More than money, Hannah, much more." That night, I sat on my bed, turning the key over in my fingers. I'd spent years hoping my parents would return for love. For me. Now I knew better. They were back, but not for family. They were here for the $50 million they'd abandoned along with me. "You waited 10 years, I whispered into the dark. "Let's see what you're really made of." The air in the Asheville law office was thick, charged with the kind of tension that makes your skin prickle. I was 24, sitting across from my parents, Travis and Evelyn Harper, who'd abandoned me a decade ago without a word. Now, they were back, dressed in tailored black, their faces a mask of fake grief, chasing the $50 million estate my grandfather, William, Bill, Carter, had left me. My fingers grazed the silver key around my neck. The one Bill gave me when I turned 18. A symbol of trust heavier than gold. This wasn't just a will reading. It was a battlefield. Clara, Bill's lawyer, sat at the head of the table, her gray eyes steady. In front of her was a steel box, its ornate keyhole glinting under the fluorescent lights. I pulled the silver key from my blouse, slid it into the lock, and heard the click echo in the silent room. Clara opened the box, revealing a velvet folder sealed with red wax, stamped with Bill's personal insignia. She broke the seal and began to read. "I, William James Carter, being of sound mind and body, declare this my final will and testament. I leave the entirety of my estate, financial assets, properties, shares, and holdings, to my granddaughter, Hannah Lee Carter." The room exploded. Evelyn lurched forward, her voice shrill. "That's absurd. She's a child." "I'm 24, I said. My tone ice cold, cutting through her theatrics. Travis's eyes narrowed, his jaw tight. No way this holds up. She manipulated him. Clara didn't flinch. Bill executed this will with full mental clarity. We have documentation from his physician, plus audits confirming its legality. Hannah was emancipated at 17. Everything's airtight. She slid a file across the table. It's all there. Evelyn's face turned crimson. This is theft. I stayed silent, then reached into my bag and placed a second folder on the table. Its edges worn from my grip. If we're talking theft, I said slowly, let's talk about this. Clara opened it, passing copies to my parents. Travis's eyes darted across the pages, his confidence cracking. Evelyn blinked, confused, until the truth hit her. The folder held a 2011 asset transfer form. Their signatures forged alongside Bill's, except Bill hadn't signed willingly. Clara's voice was sharp now. We have witnesses ready to testify that Evelyn coerced Bill into signing under duress. You should pray we don't press charges. Travis turned to Evelyn, hissing, you said this was clean. I didn't think she'd find it. Evelyn whispered, her facade crumbling. I stood, my voice steady but burning. This isn't about money. It's about legacy. About the man who raised me when you walked away. You didn't just abandon me. You tried to erase him. Erase what he stood for. You're not grieving. You came back because you failed the first time. Hoping he left the door unlocked. No one spoke. The air was heavy with their defeat. I turned to Clara. Are we done? She nodded. I walked out, past Evelyn's stunned face and Travis's clenched fists. My heels clicking on the hardwood. But as I reached the door, Travis muttered, we'll take it back by force. I didn't turn around. I'd heard enough. 2 days later, a white envelope slid under my apartment door. No return address. Stamped. Urgent. My heart thudded as I tore it open. Plaintiff: Travis and Evelyn Harper. Defendant: Hannah Lee Carter. Claim: undue influence and manipulation of a mentally compromised individual. I laughed. Not out of humor but fury. Sharp and raw. They were suing me, painting me as a scheming granddaughter who'd conned a dying man. By noon, the story hit a local gossip site. $50 million heiress accused of elder exploitation. My neighbor texted me the link. I yanked my blinds shut and locked the bolts. The punch hurt, even if I'd seen it coming. That afternoon, I spotted him, a man in a beige windbreaker, sitting outside Perch Cafe, pretending to read an upside-down newspaper. He'd been across the street yesterday. I crossed the road, my voice cold. You lost? He bolted, chair screeching, disappearing down the sidewalk. I didn't chase him. I called Clara instead. Private investigator, she confirmed. Hired through a Knoxville firm. Payment traced to your father's account. They're building a smear campaign. Let them try, I said, my resolve hardening. That night, I built a digital fortress. Every voicemail from Bill. Every video of us laughing over his terrible fishing stories. His handwriting on birthday cards. Receipts from my art classes he'd paid for. I labeled each file meticulously. Then I recorded a video. No makeup. No filter. If you're watching this, it's because I forgot who I am. I said to the camera. I'm not the girl they left. I'm the woman who stood up when they expected me to break. I hit save. The next morning, a note was under my door. Block capitals. You're not untouchable. Little girl. I didn't scream. I sat in the dark kitchen. Lights off. Watching the hallway. Cowards hide in shadows. I was ready. The headlines came fast. Was Hannah groomed to inherit? Granddaughter or gold digger? Mainstream outlets, not just tabloids, were eating up the lies. Someone was feeding them stories. Then Clara called. Check the drive folder. Bill left something for this moment. I opened the link. A video, timestamped 6 months before Bill died. He sat in his leather chair. Posture straight. Voice firm. I, William Carter, am of sound mind. I'm leaving my estate to Hannah Carter. Not out of obligation, but because she's shown integrity and love without condition. This is my will, and I know what I'm doing. I uploaded it. Within hours, it went viral. My inbox flooded. Support from old teachers, friends, strangers. Hashtag stand with Hannah trended. But the fight wasn't over. Dean Andrews, my university advisor, called me in. There are concerns about the lawsuit. The media, he said, clicking his pen. We're reviewing your scholarship. I nodded. No tears. Everything I'm accused of is false. Bill's video proves it. If this university values truth, you'll see that. He didn't reply, only said, you can attend classes for now. For now. That night, I went live. The lighting was harsh. My voice raw. My name is Hannah Carter. I'm not here to plead. I'm here to protect what was entrusted to me. I laid out the facts, the forged documents, the lawsuit, the smear campaign. I was 16 when they left me. I'm not 16 anymore. The stream ended, and the internet erupted. #air with honor. #legacy over blood. Travis emailed me. You just made this a war. I cracked my knuckles. Bring it. The courthouse steps were slick with rain. Reporters swarming like vultures. I held my leather folder tight. A shield of truth. Inside, the courtroom buzzed. The gallery packed. Travis lounged across the aisle. Smug. Evelyn dabbed at dry eyes. Her pearls gleaming. Their lawyers were all polish. Ready to sell a fiction. I was a manipulative heiress who'd isolated a frail old man. Clara stood, calm but lethal. She presented custody rulings from 2011. My emancipation papers. Bill's medical records proving his clarity. Then she played the video. Bill's voice filled the room. Hannah's the only one I trust. She never asked for anything but time. The silence was deafening. I took the stand. My voice clear. He chose me because I stayed. I didn't ask for his money. I asked for family. Evelyn testified next. All crocodile tears. I sent letters, cards. I tried to visit, but I was pushed out. I looked at her, unflinching. If you loved me, you wouldn't have left. Love doesn't abandon someone and expect a welcome when there's money to grab. The judge leaned forward, glasses glinting. Case dismissed with prejudice. Miss Carter retains all rights to the estate. It was over. I walked into the sunlight. Reporters shouting. I didn't stop. Some victories don't need a headline. Months later, I launched the Carter Legacy Foundation in Bill's garden. A place he loved. The crowd was small but real, teachers, counselors, kids who'd known betrayal. This isn't about me, I said at the podium. It's about what we do when someone sees us as becoming. Not broken. The applause was quiet, but it lingered. I found a notebook in Bill's desk. His handwriting faded but clear. Hannah brought me coffee when my hands shook and asked what cookies I liked. No agenda, just kindness. I couldn't risk her being hurt again. I closed it, gratitude replacing grief. Then came Ethan, a half-brother I never knew. Messaging me from Baltimore. I think we share a father. I just want to talk. We met at a cafe. His nervous smile disarming. I don't want anything, he said. Maybe we both lost something. Blood made us siblings. I replied. Let's see if honesty makes us more. The foundation grew, helping those betrayed by family. At a shelter, a 13-year-old asked, can people start over? I knelt beside her. I don't think it. I know it. Legacy isn't blood. It's choice. It's kindness when cruelty taught you silence. It's building when others tried to break you. To anyone facing betrayal, you're not what they left. You're what you become. Have you ever cut ties with someone you thought you'd never let go? Or are you holding on, hoping they'll change? Share your story. Let's talk.